It's back assward because it's in reverse. We're going to do some airbrushing this evening. When the fuck is this? Now, I airbrushed this morning, and we primed both of these vehicles. We've got some other 3D prints here to prime if we get around to them, but I want to focus on the actual colors that we're going to use to paint this Churchill and also this Gaslands vehicle. All right, so we're going to move the Churchill out of the way because we're going to work on the Gaslands vehicles first. Marty's truck. And we're going to need this, the pipette, and we're going to mix a custom color. So we're looking for a particular color, and I think I pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's 50% of each of these. So just make sure it comes out okay. We've got this thing clean, ready to go. Should be, but it's not fired up. So now we will fire it up. Running about 20 PSI. We're using Vallejo paints, which some people don't like to airbrush with, but we're also using the Abbas magic formula. So we're going to go about 50% of this and 50% paint or so. And this helps tremendously with tip dry, or preventing tip dry. So let's get our body cavity search glove on first. I use that for the painting hand. If you got paint on this hand, you're doing something tremendously wrong. You're being way too wasteful. Okay, so we've already mixed these things up, but let's give them another mix. And we're going to need something to stir it up with. And I really don't want to do it in a container that is this deep, because we're not going to need that much paint. Now there's dry bits of paint, dry paint, so we should be okay with that. Almost could do it on the top. We're going to use very little. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use this, but we're going to cut this down. And I should have a pair of scissors here, but I don't. So I'll go grab a pair of scissors. I believe there's a set here. Go to the toolbox. Even if they're kids' scissors. Childlike scissors. The fumbling begins. Okay. All right, so we're just going to take these are little disposable cups, but if I make a mess, it's going to be because of this thing, because I'm making this custom paint. All right, so what I'm going to attempt to do is drop one drop of each in here. And yeah, I don't have any. I don't think that's going to come off. Okay, good. It's been a long time since I used one of these. All right, so this is Vallejo Park Green and Vallejo Light Green. We're going to put one drop of each, or try to get it one drop of each, or so. And we already tested this. Well, there's my drop. It'll be 2 drops. Okay. This is a color that I've had a long time. I really haven't used it much. And then let's do the same thing with the light green, which is significantly more watery. All right, now, I always tend to use more of this than I'm supposed to. So in this case, we will not do that. Oh, we're going to add about equal parts of this magic mix. So we'll go ahead and use this. Four drops of that. What I end up doing is like, oh man, you use too much of it, and I waste a lot of paint. So we'll see that this make sure this looks okay. It's going to take several coatings because we are airbrushing it on top of black. Well, what do you prime black? I always do. You can blame the heavy metal painting guide on it. So this is this blue-greenish type color that we've got. More green than blue. And then we'll use our pipette. We good? Drop it about 20. If this ends up being too much of a pain in the butt, I'll just mix it right in the reservoir. Now this is still going to be weathered and all kinds of stuff, so it's not like we're stuck with this completely. All right, we got very little paint in here. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is the whole body of this is going to be in this color. So what I like to do is I like to give it like kind of like a quick dusting. Yeah, this isn't going to work. Okay, so back to the original way that we always do things. All right, so we're going to try to guess how much of this we're going to put in there. One about half of it. And we're going to end up dry brushing this color on top of it. So the whole plan is we're going to paint this the main color. We're going to give it a brown wash. Then we'll come back and we'll dry brush it with this color again. So it just has to be kind of close. All right, now, this is how I normally do it. I just figured, well, let's use these pipettes that we use. Guess what they're for? I'm like, yeah, no. Put chainsaws on them. Well, the problem is if the vehicle doesn't have chainsaws. I am a what you see is what you get person. So I don't want to build things that it doesn't have. That's just my choice, just like some people don't care. I do. Okay, I think that's a little bit too green. So we'll add a little bit more of this. And you're going through a lot of paint. I've had this paint a long time. It's time I did something with it. This is going to take a lot of coats to cover over the black. But they're thin. Flamethrowers, man, I hate flamethrowers. They use up 2 build slots. All right, it's just got to be close. Get this to work its way through. There we go. All right. Try not to get it on the wheels if you don't need to. Running about 20 psi. I think most people just put whatever the hell they want on it. Most builds. I like to build what it has. I originally thought, hey, I'm going to put magnets on things so you can switch out, but that's an excuse to not build cars. So I've got about 400 die-cast cars. And I'm not exaggerating. And I've actually done like 65 in a couple of months. So, you know, I can knock out a car every one a week, certainly. 2 a week. Not that I'm in a hurry. Not that I'm in a hurry, not that I'm going to allow myself to be rushed by anybody. And we want this to kind of be a uniform color in a way, for the most part. Because we are going to weather it. We are going to give it a wash. I forgot to change to the .35 needle, so we're using the .5. Well, we definitely shouldn't have any jam issues. Sometimes mix it from time to time a little bit. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. I do have a vehicle, well, I do have a vehicle that kind of has chainsaws. This is my Irish car, which is going to be Murphy's lawnmower, and it has basically a wood chipper. But it has a ram, you know, so this vehicle does not have a ram. It has 2 turrets, which is unusual for a vehicle of this size. All right, let's flip over to this side. Green Hope? Nah, that's not what it's called. I am definitely not somebody who starts painting, building it like, I don't know what to call this thing. It has a name before it's even been worked on. Maybe I'm the exception. Maybe most people don't do that, but I think coming up with the name of it is like one of the most fun things. So why would I let somebody else do that? Whoa! Hold on. Get this fucker out of here. Okay. These things that don't weigh anything are a problem. Now we're trying to match a color that Marty wanted me to paint this thing. And no, I don't paint for people, but I do. Whatever that means. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Looking really good. I mean, it's got a long way to go. But this thing was like bright blue to begin with. This is a Maisto, by the way. We switched out the wheels on it. Put some heftier wheels. Now, I don't know what color I'm going to paint this box, but we're just going to do it in the same green color for now. Now, it may change what we do. The turrets that are on the top are definitely in green. Tie it all together. Some people hate this paint. Airbrush with. I don't already have it. I'd rather have paint that's too thick that I can brush paint with than paint that I can't brush paint with it because it's already thinned out too much for airbrushing. And even though I've been doing this for a couple of years, I still consider myself an airbrush noob. This is not where my talent lies. Nothing on this is masked. That's more trouble than it's worth, in my opinion. For something like this. So this will need to dry, and then we will come back and dry brush it. It's a little more green than I wanted it to. It's a little more, I mean, I'm fine with it. It's a little bit more green than the color matching looks like, but we'll fix that with the dry brushing when we come inside. An ice cream cart with shotguns would be awesome. Yeah, except that's not in the game. I could create my own rules for some of this stuff, but I'm not ready to go there. You know, it's not like I'm going to run any of this stuff in like a tournament or something like that. We're not doing that. We ain't doing tournaments. And not because they're competitive, but yeah, it's the lighting in here. It's actually not. It's about where it needs to be. Maybe a little bit more blue. Like I said, we're going to give it a brown wash, and then we'll come back, and the color that we dry brush on top of it will be a little bit more. And that you put the brown wash, it's going to totally change it anyway. So, not because of the competitiveness, but I'm never going to play a set of rules that I have to play it exactly the way it's written. Because everybody makes mistakes. You know, it might be a mistake in the rules. Like, that's not what the rule book says. Well, we all agree that we're playing it a different way. We have a jam session here. Thank you. There we go. So I would normally just hand paint this. But you're covering large areas, and you're going to slop down a lot of paint, and you're going to see brush strokes. So once we get this initial color, then we'll drop back to just doing the hand painting stuff. I'm definitely more. Now you paint the doors white and add civil guard, and we'll believe you. Well, but this is for somebody. What do you see? We're going to give this a good coat of paint on it. What I normally do is I normally do all these steps anyways with a car that's not painted. That's not, you know, that it's in the color that it comes in. Guardia Civil sounds like something from the Spanish Civil War. I had somebody ask me this week if I was interested in that. I'm like, I'm not really interested in any civil wars. And make sure we have a relatively heavy coat on here, only so that when we put the brown wash on it, we don't wipe it off. And then this will end up looking something like, now the paint on here is really thin, something like that. It's a little Ninja Turtle green right now. So don't judge that by the color that it is. I mean, it looks fine. It's just not the color we were going for. This thing's going to be a hoot. This thing has some different skills on here that some of the other vehicles don't have. The problem is it looks like a Peugeot or a Ford. If it were a British Land Rover, it would pass better as civil car petrol. Wow, that's not what this is. It is a Chevy, actually. This is the vehicle that somebody said, hey, I want you to paint this and I want you to paint it this way. That's why we're doing it. So if you don't like the idea of it, that's not on me. Well, actually, I designed it. They didn't say, I want it armed with this. I made that decision. Make them all different. Okay, and this is the base color that we're going to do the brown wash on. And then we'll come back and we'll color match what I have in there. This went a little too green, a little bit too green. Might be the lighting in here. It was about 50-50 when I did it. It might be the lighting in here. Well, let me go get my scrap of paper. All right, the color test. Let's see how close it is to it. I don't know, it might be spot on. It might be spot on. This is what we were going for. This is the color that matches the sample that he gave me. That's pretty damn close. That's pretty damn close. Yeah, some of these colors I've never used. I've never used this light green and the park green. It's a pretty color. I probably did. I probably painted one of my Ancients armies, something like that. Somebody in the Ancient Army with it. To be like a good color for that turquoise, like for Middle Eastern Army. All right, so this thing is done as far as we can go with it. All right, so a couple other things that we need to do. Let's get this guy the hell out of the way. Have another sip of coffee. We have a Churchill tank. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do the clear coat on the Jeep. So instead of running all this through the airbrush, just try to get as much of it as you can out, because there's no point in gumming up the airbrush when all you need to do is just get it out of here. Okay. We're going to have to spit some of it out, but there's no point in doing more of it than necessary. And we'll use the Awada scrubby thing that came with it. This is a bomb, like the ones at camp. I don't know. I'm lost in translation. I don't know what you're trying to say. I forgot, are you in Spain or are you in the colonies, Javier? ¿Estás en España o estás en una colonia? You're either from Spain or Argentina or something like that. I want to say. Gold country, as some of you guys affectionately said when I went to travel there last year, my country of origin. I love it. I agree. That's where we came from. We didn't cross over the fucking land bridge. We came over on boat. Yeah, it's kind of like an aqua green. It's a pretty color. The problem is the lighting here is kind of intense. And it'll keep changing a little bit. All right, now what I like to do is, there's a little bit of on the tip there. Hand sanitizer. We can even use the end of this. Scrub all that stuff off. I don't like to give this thing a complete clean every time I change colors, or you'd never get anything done. All right, now, let's see if we need to go any deeper than this. Back this off a little bit. And blow this out and pour it out. And then do the same thing again. Well, I thought we were going to do like, hey, let's do a St. Patrick's Day edition with Mitch, and he's on vacation next week, bastard. So we'll just do our traditional St. Patrick's Day painting session. I mean, I'm not even Irish. I guess I'm honorary Irish. I never do anything on St. Patrick's Day. I probably should have an Irish beverage with me while I try doing that. Not if it's in the morning session. We're not going to have anything in the morning and then go to work. That's not going to happen. Let's see, we still got some of this out. I might just do the Churchill next, because if there's some of this color in the Churchill or the green, it's so minuscule you won't be able to tell. And then we'll clean it well and do that. Yeah, there's still stuff in here. This is alcohol. I may have to just take the thing apart. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the Churchill next. Okay, because it's green. Now, what I've done in the past is I've painted this in bronze green, and they dry brushed Russian uniform. Why did they use those colors? Well, that's what's suggested in the little Vallejo set, right? And it works. I like how it looks. Since then, I've actually went to Spray Gunner and picked up some of the real color it's supposed to be, which is SCC 15, British 1944-45 olive drab, and I have this, so we're going to paint this overall in this color. And then we'll see if we like it. If not, we're like, fuck this, we're going to paint it the same way we do our other ones that we're happy with. 7 likes. Yeah, people watch the vertical stuff. I guess you guys are on your phones and you get suggested to it. I could be all day on my computer. It has better, the part that sucks about it is I'm limited on resolution on this. Let's do like 2:1, one part this. And then 2 parts this. Or so. You can spray this straight out. The problem is it's gonna jam on you. The tip's gonna dry and then you're gonna have issues. All right, we'll see if we like this or not. We may not. It's still gonna get a brown wash afterwards, so maybe we'll just use this for the base color and call it a day. This is gonna look really dark compared to this bright ass color here. Yeah, I like this. This is the color that I like. Yeah, it's changing. It's less green right now than it used to be. There we go. All right, so we're going to do a quick dusting. What pressure we at? That's about right. We could dial it down. 20. This is just boring overall green. So we're still going to pin wash stuff. This just gives you an opportunity to get some free shadows out of the whole thing. I don't know if I have the right unit markings for this. I'm not going to buy decals for this thing, though, so we'll just hand paint them. Looks okay. Looks different than the Russian green. Has almost more yellow in it. And of course, if you're one of those people that likes to use enamels, well, good for you. The only reason I got an airbrush is so I wouldn't have to deal with enamel paints and the smell of them and the unpleasantness of them. The turret, this one's equipped with a 75mm gun with a muzzle brake on it. If I went and hand painted this ammo MIG paint, it would take me a month. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but it is not. I would not recommend hand painting with it. It does not cover worth a shit. It is an unfulfilling, unpleasant process. Looks okay. All right, Mitch, I'm doing a live session. Stop sending me shit. Go to work. It's your work day today, sucker. And what I like to do is I don't like to cover the end of the barrel really well, so it kind of looks like it's been smoky. You know, you don't have to. I mean, you're going to want the back of the end of the barrel kind of darkened from the soot. Boring ass green. And fortunately, this unit that they're going to be from also has, I've said this before, second to the Germans, the British have really good unit markings. But, you know, not all German tank units have cool markings. And what I mean is divisional markings. And not all British ones have cool ones. In this case, they're not cool because they're the 31st Brigade. And it's literally a couple of hourglasses, a couple of red hourglasses, one on top of each other. Pretty boring. Really like narrow triangles more than anything else. Boring. Boring, 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 boring. And not very visible either. You know, if you want to tell what unit they are, you got to get really close to see those red triangles. It's not like they're on the side of the turret. Boring, 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 boring. There's plenty of German units that are boring as hell too, so it's not like, you know, ripping on the British. You know, not ripping on the veterans either. They don't get to decide what their markings they have. Like, one of my big gripes on World War II uniforms is the U.S. tanker uniform is atrociously ugly. If they're going to go fight a football match. Hey, not knocking the veterans, they don't get to design their uniform. All right, now, when you put this next to that, yeah. Oh, it's going to look good. It's going to look good. I got a lot of experience painting these vehicles, and they've come out really well. Now, we already got this kind of dirty in there, so I don't want to do the clear coat. I don't think I want to do the clear coat. I got to clear coat the Irish vehicle so that I can give it a wash. Let's see if we come out clean. Maybe I will do the clear coat. We have to do that. I don't have to prime the rest of these 3D prints. I just kind of did the Churchill this morning because I knew I was going to have too much primer for just the one vehicle. All right, let's put this. I don't thin this stuff at all. This is the Vallejo Premium color. There's lots of other stuff you can use. This just happens to be the one that I have. And we have our little Mick-mobile here. Now, you notice the white isn't covering really well. That's fine. We just need this on it so that we give it a wash. We end up dry brushing it on there anyways. Okay, and I actually want to give this a flat coat because there's areas here that are black that I'm going to paint white. I don't want to paint them on this plastic, or it's just it's not going to adhere. So that's the other reason that we're doing a clear coat. So let's add about that much. Let's grab something white. And spray here and make sure that we're not getting a bunch of green on there. So make sure it comes out first. It is. No green. No green now. Okay, so we're just going to go over this gently. And all we're adding is a flat coat. This will allow other paint to adhere to it. And also when we give it a wash, for the wash to adhere to it. I won't do that on this vehicle because this paint that's on there already has a rough surface. You can't tell. You got to get in there, you know, with like really nearsighted. More nearsighted than I am. But that's at least the theory behind it. And this is going to frost the window, and that's fine. We want that. So we'd like to get this guy done by Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day. And I'm not sure if I'm going to go out of town. I may actually convince myself to go out of town, and I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. See if they have another Irish vehicle. I feel like they should have a big rig called Long Irish Goodbye or something like that. It's too obvious to have an Irish vehicle called Irish Car Bomb, you know, which is a beverage. I forget exactly what it is. A shot of whiskey inside of Guinness or something like that. Something like that. Now, I may actually end up making the top of this closed in because I don't mind painting figures. I enjoy painting figures. I would say that I paint figures even better than vehicles. But I just don't have figures for these guys. And I don't want to sit there and order a bunch of shit. I mean, I got plenty of stuff to work on. I don't need to create other tasks for myself. Okay? Now, let's blow this out, and I'm going to go ahead and prime these other vehicles. You guys okay with that? And when we go inside to work on these things, we will, we'll do it on the computer. The people that have, there's these people that walk their dog, but they have them in a baby carriage. And like, that's, like the dog needs exercise. Maybe my wife's like, well, maybe the dog is crippled. I said, I don't know, but the dog wants to walk. A crippled dog. All right, so that's that. All right, let's go to the primer side. Cardboard boxes work great for this. All right. We have 3 more vehicles. 3 or 4 more vehicles? 4 more vehicles. And we're going to prime this, even though I have Vallejo primer. We're going to prime this with I have one shot too. I was going to do a video comparing Vallejo primer, one shot, and the Stinel Ritz, or whatever the fuck it's called. Stinel Res. All I can tell you is this one smells the worst. Doesn't smell bad, but it smells bad compared to the other two. The Vallejo smells the best. If you accidentally get a whiff of it or whatever. All right, let's make sure that we use the Abbas stuff. We're going to mix this about 1 to 3. And you want to put the Abbas stuff first. That way you've got some of the, consider it like lube. It like lubes the needle so that you don't get dry needle, dry tip. Let's put this up to about 35, I think. That whole pressure thing, man, you read stuff, people are like willing to die on hills. The reality is, messing with this about the last 3 years, you just kind of have to try, see what works for you. Sometimes you'll be like, follow exactly the same way you did something and it doesn't work that time. Just got to be patient. Don't ever use the airbrush when you're in a hurry. Not like, I got to get this done today. You'll get it done when when airbrush gods say you're done with it. All right. And we're going to mix this thing up. Now, I could probably use black paint as also. I'm not dead set. Here's this Dodge ambulance. You know, the thin layers, they dry immediately. So It's kind of like dry brushing. When I do dry brushing, don't try to do all the dry brushing with one color and one swipe. It's not going to look right. Or maybe you like the look of that. I don't. Now, if any of the vehicles that I got from these guys are going to show the 3D print lines more than any other, it's got to be this one. So that might be off-putting to some people. Doesn't really bother me. I know it going in. And if you miss any spots priming with the airbrush, go in there and hand paint it with the Aguilar, right? And that's not a problem. You just don't want to do the whole surface in that because it'd take forever for it to dry. If you're going to go paint something in a shadow, that's no problem. I don't mind doing this because that'll allow this paint to dry nicely. Because the first thing we're going to do is when we get back inside, we're going to give that a brown wash. Not a heavy one, just somewhere so there's some differentiation in color. I don't really like Gasland vehicles that are all uber rusted. It's just not my thing. Because it makes them all kind of look the same. I don't want them pristine either, but... Okay. Let's do the Panzer 35. Czech 35, as I like to call it. This will be for Barbarossa. This will be for 6th Panzer Division. It was the only unit in the invasion of Russia that used this tank. Has a 37mm gun. It is not the same 37mm gun that is in the Czech 38. It's a little bit poorer performance. And it's also not the same 37mm gun that's in the German Panzer IIIs. The German Panzer IIIs with a 37 were already getting phased out by the time they invaded the Soviet Union, but they still had maybe 25% of the Panzer IIIs that invaded Russia were equipped with a 37mm gun. 20%, something like that. But the advantage that gun had is the 37mm gun that was in the Panzer III, guaranteed to have a 3-man turret. And these Czech tanks, from what I understand, at least the Czech 38 was designed, when it was in the Czechoslovakian army, was designed as a 1-man turret. And the Germans added a second guy in there, which makes a big difference, but it still means the tank commander is the gunner. So, he can't spot his own targets while the gunner is shooting at things because he is the gunner. So he can't spot for the crew of the tank. Which is kind of unusual for the Germans. Now, the Panzer II is that same way, but the Panzer II is kind of a, reconnaissance tank. Ish. I almost got a platoon of these. But I decided, it's probably better if I get a couple different vehicles so people can see what these vehicles look like, instead of getting 4 of the same one. The muzzle brake on this gun is almost looks like a diffuser or something like that. And it has a shock absorber and a recoil. Above the turret barrel, above the main gun barrel. It's kind of unique. Okay. 35 is done. SDK of Z11. This is the unarmored half-track chassis that the standard German armor personnel carrier half-track is based on. The SDK of Z251 is based on this half-track, on the SDK of Z11. The 250 is based on the SDK of Z10. This is a one-piece model. So if you don't like to build stuff, some people like to paint. Some people like to build models and then not paint them. Some people like to build models, paint them, but not game. Some people just want to game. Some people just want to build models. It's like, I like to do all of them. But the people in the model club don't understand gaming. And the people that game don't understand building a model. And it's pretty fair to say that most people have built a model that are in this type of a hobby. They may not have enjoyed it. I don't know, Mitch may not have built a model. I'll have to ask him. Model of a rutabaga. Now, I'm half tempted to make this for the Africa core. I don't know that I will. It's more than likely probably going to be Dunkelgelb. This is probably going to haul a pack 40 around. I got several pack 40s. And they used the pack 40. I think the African Corps used the pack 40s, but it was in Tunisia. And they probably didn't have very many of them, if any at all. Is it Mark IV specials with the long 75 that they had in North Africa did not fire the same shells that the pack 40 used. I can't do this for a long time. I'll have bad posture. Like the people that go around, they walk around the neighborhood and they're looking at their phone the whole time. That's a good way to put a crick in your neck. We're already looking at our phones enough. No need to speed up that process. All right, this guy's done. And now the big daddy. God bless it, this thing's huge. This thing is massive. It doesn't even look like it's the right scale. It looks like it's 28 millimeter. This is the SDKF Z9 Nafamo. And normally I would make this gray, but I'm going to make it Dunkelgelb as well, because the whole purpose of this thing is to have this thing in a scenario. Oh, we're out of primer. Have this in a scenario where it's kind of tow a tiger or something like that that's stuck. What are we using? Stinel Riz? We'll use Stinel Riz. With a little bit of this stuff here first. And just to let you know how much ammo and armor weighs, this massive thing only weighs 18 tons. Which, honestly, is not very heavy considering how freaking big it is. A Panzer III weighs 20 tons, so it weighs less than a Panzer III, and it dwarfs a Panzer III. But it's also, you know, sheet metal. Man, where'd everybody go? All the comments went out the window. No comments. If you guys are putting comments down, I can't see any comments until the last one from Javier. So hopefully that isn't the case. And you guys are getting screwed by not being able to see what you said. But you don't have to comment. You can eat your sandwich or whatever. What I found that you're airbrushing, so you don't end up putting extra paint in certain places, paint the hard to reach stuff first. And in the process of painting the hard to reach stuff, you're getting overspray on things that are easy to reach. If you do it the other way, then the easy to reach places get a lot more paint on them that don't really need it, because they're easy to reach. I try to do that if I remember. If this thing ever dies, the compressor, and I hope it doesn't, I'll get a big one that's quiet. I do enough airbrushing now that I'm worth it. I just didn't want to spend an extra $100 on a compressor to find out it was something I wasn't going to use. Well, as much as I'd like to airbrush inside, I'm just going to keep it out here. It's just peace of mind and knowing that you're not going to get this paint everywhere if there's a mishap. Just a monster. So when I'm done with this, I'm probably going to go inside, have dinner. And then we'll come back out to the studio, the inside studio. Do some squiggly camouflage on this thing. I'm going to thin it down a lot. Not today. You know, if I spray can this, I'd get so much goop in different places. Okay. So now we will take the rest of this primer, because we've primed everybody, and we will get as much of it out as we can by way of soaking it up. Okay. Put some of the cleaner in there. We're going to use our trusty brush. And I'm not going to give this a complete clean. I don't like to do that. That's not a good use of my time. We'll try to get it to work next time, not just give up and go, well, it's not going to work well. Now, if I was going to do something really detailed, yeah, maybe I would probably do that, but let's run some alcohol through there. And this is where we're going to stop. Turn that off. And drain, and we're good to go. All right, folks, thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you guys on the next one. In a little bit, we're back when we're on the computer. All right, folks. Bye-bye.